that was an obiter of the Supreme Court. Because that was not the principal issue. But the reason why they said that the donation is valid as an obiter, because there was no cohabitation. But contrary to the provisions of the civil code, kaya lang, merong guilty dito sa ano, it's another part of it. Donation between two persons who are guilty of concubinage or adultery, di ba? Pero guilty, malagay doon But as I've said, that is just an obiter of the Supreme Court because of lack of cohabitation. Saan ba tayo? Where were we? I think we were in family home. What is the value? Kasi if you invoke the exemption, the court will determine how many do you have. Diba? Which of the properties is being devoted for family residence. Then what is the location? Because magiging relevant yun Magiging relevant because it is possible that the property may even be sold. But if ever it will be sold to satisfy an obligation, an adjustment obligation, then the first 200 or 300 will be given to the beneficiaries. That's why the determination of the place where it is located will be one of the things that will be done by the court pursuant to the guidelines in the case of Joseph versus Mendoza. Then what is the value of the property? So if the property will be sold eventually, then the first 200 or 300, depending upon where it is located, will have to be given to the beneficiaries of the family home. So if there is an execution of a judgment, and finally the property will be sold, because it is a family home, then the first 200, I suppose it was sold for only 250, and the judgment is 500,000, then only 50,000 will be satisfied. Or if ever it was sold for 350, but it is located in the city of Manila, the first 300 will be given to then the 50,000 will be given to the judgment creditor. So that if ever there is that family home, you have to invoke the exemption. And what are the instances when you cannot invoke the exemption from attachment, levy, or for sale? Ito na yun, if you do not pay your tax, realty tax, di ba binibenta ng local government yan, di ba? That is not part of the exemption. If ever you're going to say that you constructed that house and that lot belonging to you, but you have not paid the architect, the engineer, the contractor, the material men, the carpenters, etc., then can they sue you? Can they levy upon the property in case of adjustment? Yes. If you have a family home but you utilized it as a security for the payment of an obligation, then it's not exempted also? No, that's part of the exception to the rule. Because if there is a family home that has been utilized as a security, you mortgage it in order to secure the payment of an obligation, then that is not one of the instances where it is exempted from attachment, levy, or for sale. Or of course, the controversial point, because the first decision on this matter came from Davao. That is the case of Bodequillo versus Judge Breva of the province of Davao. I think it's the city of Davao. Because there was a time when the family code was new. I was one of those lecturing on the family law. And I was talking about that decision. I knew then that it came from Davao. But unknown to me, the fellow who was here right in front of me was Judge Breva. I was talking about the case of Bodequillo versus Breva, but somebody was looking at me. Nakatingin sa akin si Judge Breva. Nasa harapan ko mismo Sabi ko, siguro, sige, magkamali ka sa reason of facts because I know better than you. Because he was the trial judge. So he should know, or he should have known the ins and outs of that particular case. But then, the situation is like this. A and B married, they own a house, they own the house and lot. But the house and lot although utilized for residential purposes, was never constituted judicially or extrajudicially as a family home. Because under the old law, you have to go to court or you have to execute an affidavit to constitute it and register it with the Register of Deeds. Problem. So you constructed that house and that lot belonging to you, then you utilized it for residential purposes. That was prior to the family code. That was prior to the family code. Problem. There was an accident that happened where the man was involved. That accident happened prior to the effectivity of the family code. In fact, a judgment was rendered against him. It became final and executory. Lagyan natin, it became final and executory after the effectivity of the family code. When the judgment became final and executory, there was a motion for execution, the writ of execution was issued, then it was levied upon. So there was an objection. Motion to quash the levy, Your Honor. Why? Because this is a family home. It is exempted from attachment, levy, or for sale. Paano yun? You constructed the house and that lot belonging to you, you devoted it for residential purposes, but you did not constitute it judicially or extrajudicially in accordance with the old law. Correct? Yes, Your Honor. But Your Honor, please, is it not that under the provisions of Article 164 of the Family Code, if there was a house and lot that was not devoted, that has been devoted for residential purposes, but it was not constituted as a family home under the old law, upon the effectivity of the family code, it was granted the privileges under the law of exemption from attachment, levy, or for sale. And the family code, Your Honor, under 256 is retroactive in character. So that if I constructed that house in 1980, then since the law is effective retroactively, then it is as if it has been constituted as a family home and granted those privileges as early as 1980 because of the retroactivity of the family code. Very good argument. Very good argument. It seems to be a very nice one. Very nice as far as you're concerned. But is it nice as far as the court? Well, of course, the Supreme Court said, correct. The family code is retroactive. Correct. Upon the effectivity of the family code, this house and lot that was not constituted in accordance with laws, a family home under the old law, was granted those privileges upon the effectivity of the family code. But whether you're going to retroact it or not, the Supreme Court asked the question, would it not impair vested rights if you retroact the family code? Yeah. Because when was the vested right acquired by the victim of the vehicular accident in Modicillo versus Breva? It was not acquired after, but it was acquired prior to the effectivity of the family code. The Supreme Court said, no, we cannot retroact the family code because if the family code, if the law provides for retroactivity, then whether substantive or procedural, then what is the rule? As early as Article 4, we've been talking about these things. That for that law to become retroactive, there must be no impairment of vested rights. That is the case of Modicillo versus Breva. Applying the provisions of Article 164 and 256 of the Family Code. Retroactivity of the law. But did you incur liability prior to the constitution of the family home? Yan. Yes, you incurred it because there was a vehicular accident. Pero argument mo, the family code is retroactive. So it is as if it has been granted the privilege or privileges as early as 1980, Your Honor. Correct sana kung walang impairment of vested rights. Now, let us say, for example, that A and B are married. They have several properties. Property number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. What is number 6? The family home. Then Mr. A died, leaving as heirs the surviving spouse together with 2 children, C and D. So after the death of Mr. A, then Madam B, then C and D came to you for advice. That my husband is dead, then leaving the following properties, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6. We agreed to have an extrajudicial partition of all these properties, including the family home. There is no disagreement among us. Attorney, can you give us your advice? If you were the counsel, what would be your advice? Huwag niyong gagayahin yung isang estudyante namin noong araw. Sabi niya, if I were the counsel, I would advise my clients to sit down and relax. Wala nga, to sit down and relax. Wala nga, sabi ko, ganun ba talaga ginawa mo? Yes, sir. Para naman yung examiner, kasi talagang mahirap mag-correct, medyo matuwa naman. Sabi ko, delikado yun. Hindi part of the answer yun, to sit down and relax. Hindi nakaka-relax mag-correct ng papel, sir. Kaya kailangan, medyo i-entertain mo yung bar examiner. Part ba ng answer yung entertainment? Problem is, what is your advice to your clients? Yeah. I would advise my clients that they can extrajudicially settle or partition 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And why not number 6? And why not number 6? Yan. Because of 159 of the family home. Because that family home cannot be the subject of an extrajudicial partition within the next 10 years from the death of Mr. A. In the case of Ariola versus Ariola, the Supreme Court said, no, you cannot have an extrajudicial partition of that property until after the lapse of 10 years. So sabihin mo, tanungin mo sa kanya, ilang taon na ba itong isang anak ninyo, madam? This child, she's only 15 years old. Ako, 10 plus 3 equals 10 plus 3 equals 13. Bakit 10 plus 3 equals 13? Because if there is a minor beneficiary, 10 years, 3 years pa bago maging 18. So that would be another 3 years of indivision of the said family home. Why can you not subdivide it? Why can you not extrajudicially partition that family home? Remember that the family home is the symbol of love. It is the symbol of unity. It is where the fondest memories of the family would be found, di ba? Yung mga pinakamagandang memories of the husband and wife together with the children are found in the family home. That is why that family home will remain to be so as a family home for the next 10 years after the death of the husband or the wife, as the case may be. Or even more, if there is a minor beneficiary of the family home because of that reason. In the case of Ariola versus Ariola, you cannot have an extrajudicial partition of that property in the meantime. So sabi mo, you can partition the 5 but not number 6 because of 159 of the family code. Then state the reasons as they have said in the case of Ariola versus Ariola. So that is the family home. Family home. Then let us go to the law and children. Children, the temptation always is on the children. The temptation always is on the children, especially the liabilities of parents. Diba? Liabilities of parents, including the proof of filiation. Yan. Proof of filiation, medyo magalaw yan, including the custody of children. So there are basic areas that you have to look into. But one of the important principles that you have to consider in children is, what are the kinds of children? There are only 2 kinds of children now, legitimates and the illegitimates. Anyway, child born within wedlock is presumed to be legitimate. If a child is born within wedlock, that child is presumed to be legitimate. Whoever alleges that the child is illegitimate has to prove it. Because there is no presumption of illegitimacy. There is only a presumption of legitimacy. And my seat that the law is basic to the extent that the child born within wedlock is legitimate. Presumption. Well, because the presumption is intended to protect the child. That is for the welfare of the child. And that is intended to protect the honor, the dignity of the mother. Remember the conception case, conception versus the Court of Appeals. That a child was born, although the situation in conception is like this. A and B legally married, the house and lot located at La Vista in Quezon City. They were residing at La Vista in Quezon City. But the woman left the conjugal dwelling and went to live with a man in Fairview. Fairview and La Vista are only 4 kilometers away from one another. Out of that relationship between C and D, D is the, B and C, a child was born. So A and B are married, but B left the conjugal dwelling at La Vista and went to live with a man in Fairview. A child was born. What is the presumption? The presumption is that the child, having been born within wedlock, is legitimate. The child is presumed to be legitimate. Why? Because that child was born within wedlock. But the problem, Your Honor, is that the woman left the conjugal dwelling and went to live with a man in Fairview. How can there be a presumption of legitimacy? Is not the child illegitimate? Well, whoever alleges that the child is illegitimate has to prove that the child is illegitimate. But there is a presumption of legitimacy in order to protect the interest of the child and in order to protect the virtues of the mother. Conception versus the Court of Appeals. These are the basic principles. That whoever alleges that the child is illegitimate has to prove that the child is an illegitimate child. But the presumption generally is, if the child is born within wedlock, presumption legitimate. Whoever alleges that is illegitimate, prove that the child is illegitimate. And who can impugn the legitimacy of that child? Ayun. A and B, husband and wife. Of course, the husband. Why not the wife? Why not the wife? Bakit hindi yung wife? Because you should know better that your husband is not the father of the child. Di ba? It is the husband who goes to court, according to the law, as a rule. Anong reason doon? Well, one reason is a joke. Di ba? One reason is a joke. Because the woman is always sure that she is the mother. But the father only hopes that he is the father of the child. So, the husband goes to court and files an action to impugn the legitimacy of the child. That can be transmitted to the children for purposes of inheritance. For example, it was commenced, but their father died. Then, they can continue. Because if they can prove that the child is illegitimate, that their brother or sister is illegitimate, then for purposes of succession, what is the rule in 176? If the child was recognized, then and it is proven that the child is illegitimate, 1/2 of the share of gains of the legitimate children. Or if a child was born after the death, of their father, then the children can commence the action. In the case of Lee versus the Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court even said that even during the lifetime of their father, they can even question the legitimacy of their own brother or sister for purposes of inheritance. But generally, between the husband and the wife, the husband goes to court. And what are the pieces of evidence that you can utilize, sir, in order to impugn the legitimacy of a child. A and B married, but Mr. A went abroad looking for a greener pasture for the family, went abroad. When he left the Philippines, he left the wife with only one child. 5 years thereafter, he came back, there are now 3. There are now 3. How come? How come how come there are now 3 children? I cannot be the father of these 2 children, Your Honor. So he's now in court impugning the legitimacy of these 2 children. How come, Your Honor, my wife gave birth to 2 children? And yet she's claiming that these 2 children are legitimate children. I was abroad for 5 years. I did not come back to the Philippines even for 1 minute. So what is your ground to impugn the legitimacy of these 2 children? 166 of the Family Code provides us with one ground. What is that ground? During the first 120 days of the 300 days, Your Honor, there was impossibility of access between the husband and the wife. And what was the reason why there was impossibility of access between the man and the woman? Because they were living separately from one another. Where were you then, mister? I was in the United States, Your Honor. How long did you stay? 5 years. Did you come here? You come back for a while? No, Your Honor. No. What do you say, madam? Your Honor, with due respect to my husband, these 2 children are legitimate children. Well, how come? How come? What is your evidence that they are legitimate children? Di ba? Do you admit that your husband left at this time? Yes, Your Honor. Do you admit that your husband never came back to the Philippines even for a while? Yes, Your Honor. Do you admit that your husband came back only after 5 years? Yes, Your Honor. And yet you are claiming that these 2 children are legitimate children? Yes, Your Honor. Ano yung ebidensya mo? Pero, tuturuan ko kayo. Your Honor, before my husband left, he signed a document. This is the document.
Sarapan naman ako ito. Suspensa. Yun.
Before my husband left, Your Honor, he signed this document. What is that document all about, Madam? I'm talking of 164. What are the 2 words used by 164? He signed a document consenting to artificial insemination. Yan. And because of this document, Your Honor, I had artificial insemination. Then, the second child was born. The birth was registered in the proper civil registry, Your Honor. Ika? Approach defense. Hindi. Di ba, wawain judge. Lika nga, iho. Lika nga, iho. Ito ba yung signature mo? Is this your signature? Yes, Your Honor. And it shows that it shows that you consented to artificial insemination to be conducted, etc., etc. Do you remember this? Yes, Your Honor. Where did you sign this? I signed it at home before I left, Your Honor. Okay. Ano? Tama yung babae. Legitimate. Humirit si Loco. Paano yung number 3, Your Honor? What about the 3rd? I signed only 1. I authorized only 1, Your Honor. So the other child is illegitimate, Your Honor. I cannot be the father of the child. Yeah. Kasi if you impute the legitimacy, you are saying that this child is the child of your wife, but you are not the father of the child because of the impossibility of access. Problem. What about the 3rd, Your Honor? I signed only 1, authorizing my wife to have artificial insemination. Or what do you say again? Your Honor, please. With due respect to my husband is the most honest of all people. But this time, he's not telling the truth. He's telling a lie, Your Honor. I'm sorry to say that. Diba? Dramatic din, ano? Problem. What evidence do you have that this third child is a legitimate child? Your Honor, please, a year ago, I had artificial insemination. I communicated with him. And because of the communication that I had artificial insemination, he then sent a document. What is the word? That is yours. After. Di ba? Ratifying artificial insemination. And because of that, the third child was born, Your Honor. And the birth of the child was registered in the proper civil registry, Your Honor. Are you sure? Yes, Your Honor. In fact, Your Honor, I bear the consul. The consul of the Philippines to that city. Because it was before this, before the consul that he executed the document ratifying it. Mr. Consul, do you remember having, yes, Your Honor, I was the one who drafted. And then he signed it under oath, Your Honor, etc., etc. Oh, what is the situation now? Were you able to prove that these children are legitimate children? Di ba? You're not able to prove that these children are not legitimate. They are legitimate. They are legitimate. But you are not able to prove their illegitimacy. So you're going to impugn, the husband goes to court and seeks to impugn the legitimacy of a child on the basis of these pieces of evidence. Why are you saying that there was impossibility of access? Because I was impotent, Your Honor. Your Honor, don't believe my husband. That is impotent. Because he has children with other women, Your Honor. I'm impotent as far as my wife is concerned, Your Honor. Hindi, Your Honor. Impotent as far as your wife is concerned. Iluluko mo yata ako. Gusto mo makulong? Hindi, Your Honor. Impotency which appears to be incurable. Because there is impossibility of access. Access means sexual intercourse between the man and the woman, the husband, because of the fact that there was impotency on the part of the man which could appear to be incurable. And what other proof do you have that there was impossibility of access? Because I was suffering from some form of sickness, Your Honor. What sickness? I was afflicted with TB, Your Honor. TB. What did the Supreme Court say in one old case? Supreme Court said, even if the person is afflicted with TB, he can still copulate unless it has reached that degree where that man is practically immobile. Parang gano'n eh. That there might be no more possibility of copulation. I have to prove that. You have to prove that. What sickness are you talking about? Diba? I was paralyzed, Your Honor. What part of your body was paralyzed? Up to my knees, Your Honor. Oh, luloko mo ako. Pwede pa, uy. Sabi ng court, you can still copulate. Diba? If you can tell me, if you can prove that your paralysis was up to your waistline, then I would agree with you. Di ba? Up to your waistline, ha? Up to your waistline. So, that is sickness. Impossibility of access. Yeah, impossibility of access. Or probably, you're going to consider the fact that you're contending that I cannot be the father of this child, Your Honor. Why? Because how can I be the father of this child, Your Honor? You look at her. She is as white as a coupon bun. Di ba? Look at me, Your Honor. Sabi nung dyan, Sir, are you? Ayos. Where are you? Where are you? You see, Your Honor? I'm in front of you. Ay, sorry, di kita nakita. You see, Your Honor? Are there racial differences? No. It cannot be possible because genetics will tell you why. This girl is white and you are black. Itatrace nyo rin yung ancestry. Your great-grandmother, Espanyol, but stumbled upon a soldier negro, Amerikano. Amerikano na negro nung araw, during the war. Ayun. During the war. And out of that, di ba, your father was born, itim din, ay ikaw ang itim, pero yung anak mo nagmana sa lola. Genetics will explain that, medicine will explain that, di ba? Or for example, you're going to claim that I cannot be the father, Your Honor. How can I be the father when the blood type of my daughter is O and that my blood type is OA? OAB. AB pala, OA. Wala pala. AB pala, AB or etc. Di ba? Di ba? Pero ano ba mga decisions sa Supreme Court at this situation? Variation between the blood type of the offspring of the rapist and that of the rapist. Halimbawa, A or B and then O. Supreme Court said that is not a proof of non-paternity. That is not a proof of non-paternity. So mga decisions on rape cases, di ba? Variation between the blood type of this child and that of the said father cannot be a proof of. But the problem is, how will you prove it? Siguro, the most scientific is the DNA testing, di ba? You can resort to the DNA testing. Whether you are impugning the legitimacy of the child or the child is proving filiation. The most scientific now is the DNA testing. So, what are the pieces of evidence that you can utilize in order to prove that you cannot be the father of this child? But remember that the child is presumed to be legitimate. The child was born within wedlock. And who can impugn the legitimacy of the child? Between the husband and the wife, the husband has the right to go to court. Can the child impugn his or her own legitimacy? Remember the case of Jinky and Jacqueline Jesus versus the estate of Juan Dizon. The Supreme Court said that the child cannot impugn her own legitimacy in order to have a choice of filiation. In the case of Liao versus Liao, the Supreme Court also said that the woman cannot impugn the legitimacy of a child. If ever A and B are husband and wife, it should be the husband who should impugn the legitimacy of the child. In the case of Jinky and Jacqueline Jesus versus the estate of Juan Dizon, there was a couple A and B. There were two children, C and D, Jinky and Jacqueline Jesus. But Mr. Juan Dizon executed a document, a public instrument, where he stated that these two children of A and B are my children with B. And I am recognizing them as my children. So A and B are married, and two children, Jinky and Jacqueline, but Mr. Juan Dizon executed a document recognizing these two children of A and B as his children with B. Public instrument. Now, when Mr. Juan Dizon died, there was a complaint for accounting and partition of the estate of Mr. Dizon. Utilizing that document of recognition as the piece of evidence to show that Mr. A is not their father. Parang ganon. That instead of A, our father is Mr. Juan Dizon. So they filed a complaint for accounting and partition of the estate of Mr. Juan Dizon, including the surviving spouse together with the children of Mr. Juan Dizon. But the question that was raised in Supreme Court was this: what is the meaning of the act of Jinky and Jacqueline Jesus of filing a complaint for partition as accounting of the estate of Mr. Juan Dizon? The Supreme Court said that in effect is an act of the two children of A and B of impugning their own legitimacy. Can the child or the children impugn his or her own or their own legitimacy? No, you cannot. It should be the husband, who should file the complaint to impugn the legitimacy of Jinky and Jacqueline, utilizing that document. Ay, hindi ko pala kayo anak eh. Diba? Hindi ko pala kayo anak eh, with this document. Diba? But there is a presumption of legitimacy on the part of these two children, unless the husband can prove that they are not his children, as the case may be. But it is not for the children to impugn their own legitimacy, the Supreme Court said. By filing the complaint for partition and accounting of the estate of Mr. Van Dison, utilizing the document of recognition, the Supreme Court said that they were impugning their own legitimacy. In the case of Liao versus Liao, A and B married, but B abandoned Mr. A and went to live with C. A child was born. During the minority of that child, then Madam B assisted the child and asked for recognition of the child, suing Mr. C. So A and B married, but abandoned the man, then lived with C. A child was born, D. But the child, assisted by the mother, asked for recognition. What is the meaning of that act of the mother of representing the child and asking for recognition of the child? That Mr. C recognized the child because this is our child. Diba? The Supreme Court said the act of the woman of filing an action for recognition for and in behalf of the child is an act of impugning the legitimacy of the said child. It should be Mr. A who should file a complaint for to impugn the legitimacy of the child, and not Madam B. So it is not the child, it is not the mother, but it should be the husband who should go to court and file an action to impugn the legitimacy of the child. In Article 166, the husband is saying that you are not my child. But in Article 172, the child is saying that you are my father. Parang gano'n eh. Nagtuturuan silang dalawa. Sabi nung bata, sabi ko, you are not my child. Sabi naman sa 172, you are my father. Di ba gano'n? What proof do you have that you are not the father of the child? Yun, 766. What proof do you have that you are my child? Yan. What are the pieces of evidence that you can present in order to prove filiation? There are 4 documents in the first paragraph of the provisions of Article 172 of the Family Code. What are the 4 documents? Number 1 is the record of birth, but it must have to be duly signed by the father. Then number 2 is the record of the court. What record of the court are we talking about? There might have been an action for voluntary or compulsory recognition granted. That is the order of the court. That is the judgment of the court. That is the record of the court. There may be an authentic writing. What is a good example of that authentic writing? A will. A will where the child was recognized. Or yung handwritten instruments signed by the father. Yan. Those are the 4 documents. Let us go over them one by one. Number 1 is the record of birth. In order that the record of birth may be admissible in evidence as a proof of filiation, what is the basic requirement? It must have to be signed by the father. Because if a record of birth which is not signed by the father is admissible in evidence to prove filiation, then in the case of Roses versus the local civil registrar, which is the oldest among them, the Supreme Court said, if the record of birth, which is not signed by the father, is admissible in evidence, then it would be easy for a woman to vest legitimate status upon the child, even if the child is illegitimate. I always warn you people, baka kayo dyan may naiiwanan sa probinsya, ha? Nako, or whatever it is. May nanganak doon sa probinsya. Hindi alam kung sinong tatay. Langyan ng lokong ito. Nanganak yung kaibigan, sabi ng nurse, what is the name of the father, ma'am? Hindi alam. Hindi makapagsalita yung kaibigan. Kinalabit ngayon. Sino ba yung nagre-review sa baske na taga doon sa kanto? Tinuro ito. Yung si Juan de la Cruz. Juan de la Cruz. Taga saan? Taga rito sa atin. Etc. So after you pass the bar, somebody will tap your back. Daddy, congratulations. Dala-dala yung record of birth. Dala-dala yung record of birth. Dala-dala yung record of birth. Diba? Daddy, congratulations. You are the first lawyer in our community. I'm very proud of you. Ha? Nagulat ka tuloy. May anak ako. May record of birth pang dala-dala. May I look at the dorsal side. Wala akong pirma. Roses versus the local civil registrar. Di ba ganun yun? Because it would be easy for a woman to vest legitimate status upon the child even if the child is illegitimate if that unsigned record of birth is admissible in evidence as a proof of filiation. But be careful with the case of Milano. Kaya delikado ka. Huwag kang sasagot-sagot ng basta-basta pa rin. Huwag kang sasagot ng basta-basta. Isipin mong mabuti. Because in the case of Milano versus League of Appeals, it's different. The record of birth was not signed by the father, but why did the Supreme Court rule that that is an evidence of filiation? That fellow was invoking Roses. But Supreme Court said, no, Roses is not applicable to you. Bakit? Why? Because in that case, here is a man, a woman. The woman was about to give birth. The man brought her to the hospital. The child was born. Di ba, hanapin ka ngayon doon sa lobby. Sir. Sabi ng nurse. Di ba kayo yung nagdala ng babaeng bagong panganak? Bakit? Nanganak na ba? Oo. Sir, kayo ba yung tatay? Bakit? May duda ka ba? Meron daw eh. Sobrang gandang lalaki as against you, sir. Di ba, okay lang. Who is the father, sir? Ako. Sabi niya, ako. What's your name, sir? Juan de la Cruz. What is your age? Etc. What is your occupation? Lawyer. Lawyer pa. Lawyer. Siguraduhin mo, malalaki yung lagay na lawyer doon sa record of birth. Kumuha ng pen, malalaki yung patak. Lawyer. Lawyer. Problem, the child is now saying that he is your child. And you are saying that no. Because there is no, kasi hindi napirmahan ito eh. Hindi napirmahan. There was a quarrel between the father and the child. Why did the Supreme Court say that you cannot invoke the case of Roses? Kasi because of the answers to the questions and who responded to the questions. That's the difference between the two of them. Who responded or answered, who provided the data. In the case of Roses, it was the woman who was asked, who is the father, sir? But Mr. Joaquin Roses was not there. Joaquin Roses did not consent to the putting of his name as the father of the child. And Joaquin Roses did not sign the record of birth. Supreme Court said, no, that is not admissible in evidence as a proof of filiation. Because otherwise, if it is admissible, then it would be easy for any woman to vest legitimate status upon the child even if the child is illegitimate. Sir, sinong tatay nito? Si Noynoy. Bawal lang yan. Si President? Oo. Anong pangalan? Junior pa, nilagay mo doon. But that would be easy for that woman to vest legitimate status upon the child even if the child is illegitimate. So that is not admissible in evidence as a proof of filiation. But why did they do it otherwise in the case of Milano? Remember, the question was this, sir, who is the father of the child? Sabi ni sir, I am the father of the child. What is your name, sir? But you did not, you provided the data in the record of birth, but you did not sign it. The Supreme Court said, that is admissible in evidence as a proof of filiation. Conclusive pa. Conclusive yun. Diba ito yung estoppel intake? Diba ito sa estoppel intake? If at the time you were supposed to be silent, if at the time you were supposed to speak, you were silent. Now that you are supposed to be silent, you cannot speak. That is the principle of bestowment in pay. If at the time you were supposed to speak, Sir, sino bang tatay? Ay, hindi ako. Dapat gano'n eh. Ang sinabi mo, ako. Bakit may duda ba? Pero no eh. Hindi, ako ang tatay. What's your name, sir? Juan de la Cruz. How old, etc., etc. Supreme Court said that is, you are bound by the principle of estoppel in pay. Estoppel in pay. And if you look at the provisions of Rule 131, Section B, Paragraph 2, Section 2, Paragraph B. Section 2, Paragraph B of Rule 131, that is a conclusive presumption. That is one of the conclusive presumptions provided for by Rule 131, Section 2, Paragraph B of the Rules of Court. You are bound by the principle of estoppel in pay. So, record of birth. It must be signed generally by the father. You look at the case of Perla versus Baring, which is the latest. There was an action for support that was filed by the child assisted by the mother. But it was found out that the evidence of filiation was an unsigned record of birth. The Supreme Court said no, because that is not admissible in evidence for the child to be entitled to be supported or to support with the said alleged father. Then the child must have to be recognized. That is the latest case on the pro-population. The Supreme Court said that it must be signed. Then what about the court record? Court record, I was saying that here's a child was born, but the father went to court and filed an action for voluntary recognition. It was decided in favor of the petitioner or the plaintiff. Is that admissible in evidence as a pro-population? Yes. Or the child might have gone to court and filed a complaint for compulsory recognition. It was granted. So can you utilize them now? Can you utilize these documents now? Yes, as proof of filiation. You do not even have to ask for recognition anymore because the document itself, yung record of birth itself, is an evidence of recognition. The record of the court is an evidence of recognition. Or for example, authentic writing. Here is a last will and testament. The last will and testament states, number 1, I'm instituting my child A, legitimate child A, then B, my other child, then C, my daughter, then D, my illegitimate child, named D, whom I am recognizing in this last will and testament or in this holographic will. Number 1, suppose the will was revoked. Can it be used as evidence of filiation? Remember, 834 of the Civil Code. If there is a will which contains recognition, but it was revoked, what happens to the will? It becomes an authentic writing which the child can utilize as a pro-population. Recognized na yung bata. Because if ever there is revocation of a will that contains recognition, the recognition is not revoked. Only the testamentary provisions will be revoked. And that remains to be an authentic writing which the child can utilize as a proof of filiation. Or for example, there is that will. Whether it is a will that is notarial or it is just a mere holographic will. Yung kaso ng Iseta versus Iseta in the case of Mercado. Whether that will has been admitted to probate or not, that is still an authentic writing which the child can use as a proof of filiation. Let's say, for example, the father is dead. But you have the record of birth, you have the record of the court, you have the authentic writing. Then there is now a settlement of estate. Can you not utilize them as an evidence of filiation? And then you can file a motion for leave to intervene because I am an illegitimate child. I've been recognized by my father. Yes, that is the purpose. You do not even have to ask for recognition anymore. You do not have to sue for recognition anymore because these documents are the best pieces of evidence of recognition. You just present them in court. When you file a petition or when you file a motion for intervention in the tested or intestate proceeding, you utilize the same as your proof of filiation. Or probably you have this the series of handwritten documents prepared by the father and signed by him. Remember the case of Blin versus the Court of Appeals. Ito yung leading case eh. But in the case of Blin versus the Court of Appeals, there was a man, there was a woman. The man was very fond of going to a club. I know that you are having your masses there at the Baclaran Church. Noong araw, wala pa kayo, hindi pa kayo, bata pa kayo, para malaman ninyo yan eh. But I would like to inform you that doon sa malapit sa Rose Boulevard, doon sa Service Road, near the Baclaran Church, there were two clubs before. One, nakalagay doon today, then tonight. Diba? Today and tonight. Today and tonight. Kaya kung gusto mong mag-clubbing ng araw, punta ka doon. Coming from your trial, pagod ka na, mag-relax ka doon. During the day. For example, tapos na yung hearing mo ngayon. Then you go direct to that place. That is today. Diba? Today. Or you go there during the night, that is tonight. Diba? Tonight. Today and tonight. Then this woman and this man met each other. Then they fell in love with each other. They lived together as husband and wife. But the woman went to Japan. And when the woman was in Japan, she gave birth. Then communicated to the man, I have just given birth to our child. And that resulted in a series of written communications between the two of them, to the extent that in all the letters that were sent by that man to that woman, there was always that situation where he mentioned, I'm sending you this amount of money to help defray the expenses for the support of my child. My child. In all those documents. In handwriting and signed by the father. Now, can the child utilize them as property? Yes, the Supreme Court said. Because that, in effect, is a recognition of the child. You do not even have to go to court and file an action for recognition anymore because these four documents in the first paragraph of Article 172 are already proofs of filiation. You do not have to ask for recognition, as them said, in the case of Jinky and Jacqueline De Jesus versus the estate of Juan Dizon. But suppose you do not have any one of them. Go to the second part of 172. You go to the second part or second paragraph of 172. You can prove open and continuous possession of the status of that child, illegitimate child or legitimate child. You're going to prove open and continuous possession. Open because it is known to everybody. Continuous because it is not intermittent. Continuous because it is not intermittent. Open because it is not hidden. So, what is a good example of that open and continuous possession of the status of an illegitimate child? Well, you look at the case of Alberto versus the Court of Appeals. Alberto versus the Court of Appeals is a good example. That the man, Alberto, had a legitimate family. But there was another woman where a child was born. The birth of the child was even known to the legitimate family of Mr. Alberto. It was known to every relative, it was known to all the friends, it was known to everybody in the community that there was a child other than the legitimate children of Alberto. That the support of the child came openly with a P and openly with an L. Ano yun? What's the difference between the two of them? The relationship was open because it was not concealed. It was open because it was not intermittent. So it was not hidden at all. That before the death of Mr. Alberto, while he was there confined at the hospital, he asked a cousin, a priest. Sabado ngayon, the priest was there, the relatives were there, the family was there. Because Alberto was dying. Then he requested a priest, a cousin priest, Tomorrow, Father, when you come here and visit me, please fetch my daughter. And please, bring my daughter to my bedside in her Sunday's best dress. That was the instruction of Alberto. So it was a Sunday, everybody was there, all of us were there. Then the priest, together with the child, were coming. Sabi ni Mr. Alberto, oh, yung anak ko nandiyan na. Together with my cousin, si Father so-and-so. So the relationship was open. It was not concealed. Can you prove filiation by way of open and continuous possession of the status of an illegitimate child? Under the circumstances, yes, the Supreme Court said. In the case of Alberto versus the Court of Appeals. Can it be proven by other means? Pwede. Maybe by through the scientific way of doing it in the case of the DNA testing. Can you just present the baptismal certificate? As a rule, it cannot, standing by itself, the baptismal certificate is not an evidence of filiation. It is not an evidence of filiation. You try to recall some cases. One of them is the case of Perla versus Baring, where there was that, aside from the record of birth, may baptismal pa. Is the baptismal certificate a proof of filiation? No, because it is a proof not of birth, but it is a proof of an occasion. Kaya warning, don't you know that you will, the moment you pass the bar, kayo mga pogi dyan, you will be the favorite ninong in the community. Ingat-ingat ng konti, dahil baka ikaw ay magkakarga doon sa bata, baka sakali yung pagiging abogado mo, may transmit doon sa inaanak mo. Diba? Kumpadre, ikaw na ang magdala ng bata, baka maging abogado rin yung inaanak mo. Okay naman. Ang problema doon, habulin ka ngayon ng bata, dati. Dala-dala yung pictures. Dala-dala pa yung baptismal certificate na pirmado mo. Oh, that is not a proof of filiation. May exception dito eh. If it is standing by itself, no. But suppose it is supported by evidence aliunde. It is supported by evidence aliunde, meaning there is extraneous evidence to prove that this child is the child of this father. There might be testimony of the woman, there might be testimony of relatives pointing to this man as the father of the child. Although there is no record of birth, but utilizing the baptismal certificate. Exception lamang yun Kung if there is that evidence aliunde, aside from the record, aside from the birth certificate, the baptismal certificate, there are testimonies. There are testimonies of relatives that this man is the father of the child. That may be a proof of filiation, supported by pieces of evidence aliunde. And that was the situation also in the case of Shangri-La Hotel Corporation versus Harper. Remember the case of Shangri-La Hotel? Remember that foreigner who has checked-in, was naka-check-in sa Shangri-La pero napatay sa loob ng kwarto. There was that action for damages, but the people who sued Shangri-La were presenting these documents. But what were the documents to prove filiation for their entitlement? Kasi question, who are the real parties in interest? Kami. Who are you? We are the children. But what were they presenting? They were presenting the baptismal certificates of the children. By itself, the baptismal certificate is not a proof of filiation, except if there is evidence there to prove that the father is really the father of the child. 2 cases in 2012 and proof of filiation. But the general rule is the baptismal certificate is not admissible in evidence as a proof of filiation. But that is allowable under the provisions of the rules of court. Aside from that, you have the DNA testing. Remember the case of the estate of Rogelio Ong versus Roger Diaz. A man and a woman live together as husband and wife without the benefit of marriage. When the child was about to be born, the woman was brought to the hospital. The child was born. After the child was born, the man leased an apartment unit in the city of Tarlac. Lived together as husband and wife, then the child was there. But later on, the man left the dwelling. Then the woman represented the child and filed an action for support. But the man said, no, I cannot support you because you are not my child. Trial was conducted, judgment was rendered saying that you are the father of the child under the following circumstances. Appeal was made, but when the appeal has been perfected, the man died. The man died. Namatay. But while it is true that the man was already dead, or has already passed away, because the Court of Appeals, motu proprio, remanded the case to the RTC of Tarlac, directing the conduct of the DNA in order to help the court determine whether the child is really the child of the decedent. Can you still take the DNA if the person is already dead? Or remember the case of Texon versus the Comelec. What is the case of Texon versus the Comelec? Fernando Po Jr. Di ba? Di ba sinasabi nila, di ba? Oh, let us take the DNA of Fernando Po Jr. to prove that Fernando Po Jr. is a legitimate child and a natural born citizen of the Philippines and the son of Mr. So-and-so. Yung matanda. But how can you take the DNA? He's already dead. He died several decades ago. But can you not open the grave of the decedent and take the tissues from the remaining tissues of the said decedent? Kaya lang, hindi naman conclusive kahit 99.99, di ba? Kahit 99.99, that is not still a conclusive evidence of filiation. Although, it helps in the rendition of the judgment, the Supreme Court said. So the most scientific is the DNA testing. What are the proofs of filiation? But if ever you were born under the family code, and you want to ask for recognition, do it during the lifetime of your putative father. Do it during the lifetime of your putative father. Because after death, wala na yun, prescribe na yung action mo. Because for as long as your father is alive, then you can file the action for recognition if you were born under the provisions of the family code, pursuant to 175 of the family code. And if you can prove that you are a child of this person, you ask for recognition as an illegitimate child. And if you can prove that you are a legitimate child, then what is your right of inheritance? Madali na lang yun. That is 1 as against 1 half. Ano yun? 1 whole share for the legitimate, 1 half share for the illegitimate, pursuant to 176 of the family code. Pursuant to 176 of the family code. So that is it. Then what about this area on legitimation? Area on legitimation. Who may be legitimated? A and B are married. But during the marriage, A abandoned the woman, abandoned the wife, and went to live with another woman. A child was born. Then the legally wedded wife died. Then A and the live-in partner C got married. What is the effect of the subsequent marriage? Can the child of A and C be legitimated, considering that there was that subsequent marriage? No. That child cannot be legitimated because at the time of the conception, at the time of the birth of the child, there was that legal impediment of A to marry C. And what was the legal impediment? There was a previous existing marriage. And how can the child attain the status of legitimacy? Adoption. Adoption. You have to adopt your child, in order that the child may be elevated to the status of a legitimate child. But A and B, 17 years old, live together as husband and wife. A child was born. When they reached the age of 20, they got married. can the child born out of that relationship where they were 17 at the time of the conception and the birth of the child, they were minors. But when they reached the age of 20, they got married. Can the child be legitimated? The answer is yes. Yes. But there was that legal impediment of age to marry one another. Remember that amendatory provision. Amendatory provision. What is the Republic Act? Republic Act number, what is that number again? It's not 9858? Yes, that is 9858. That is 9858. That if the only legal impediment at the time of the conception and birth of the child was age, then when they reach the age of majority, or whenever, whatever it is, even if already 25 or 26 or 27, when they reach that age of majority, then there is no more legal impediment, they get married. The subsequent marriage of these two people, where the child was born at a time when the only impediment was age, the subsequent marriage of the parents would cause the legitimation of the child. 9858. 9858. As a matter of fact, the legitimation is retroactive to the birth of the child. That's the reason why the child can be legitimated, because that is in favor of the child. That is in favor of the child. That is for the protection of the status of the child. So the effect of legitimation is retroactive. That if ever there is that legitimation, A and B, without the benefit of marriage, live together as husband and wife. A child was born. Then the child was already married. There was a child also. But the child, C for example, died, predeceased his own parents. Then after the death of the child, after the death of C, the child born out of the relationship, then they got married. A and B got married. Now, the retroactivity principle, that even if Mr. C is already dead, but there is that subsequent marriage between the parents, then the child can still be legitimated because it is retroactive from the moment of birth. And it will benefit his own offspring for purposes of inheritance. For purposes of inheritance. So legitimation, propopulation, children, propopulation, etc. Then looking into the law and parental authority. Who exercise parental authority? Joint husband and wife. In the absence of the husband and wife or the parents of these minor children, sino ang susunod sa hierarchy? The grandparents. Diba? The grandparents. But suppose there are no more grandparents, both sides, father and mother side. No more parents, no more grandparents. Can you now exercise parental authority over your minor brothers and sisters? Sabi nung isa, no sir. Why? Because I'm a minor. Bakit? May minor ba dito? Oh, you cannot take the bar. You know, you cannot take the bar if you're a minor. But nobody is a minor here. So you can now, but then suppose everybody is a minor. Then, the best interest of these children or this child will be of utmost importance. The court will appoint a guardian, looking into the best interest of the child. Do you need to be appointed as guardians if you are the natural guardians of the parents? No need. Because by operation of law, you are the guardians of your children. Not only over their persons, but even their properties. But what is the requirement? If the value of the property or properties would exceed 50,000, put up a bond. And the bond will be fixed by the court, where the court cannot fix the amount less than 10% of the value of the properties of the ward or the minor, as the case may be. Yeah, that's it. parental authority. Parental authority is exercised. But should there be a question on the custody of the child, what did we say again, in relation to Article 63? And this is now the basic provision in Article 213 of the Family Code. That if ever there's a controversy, the best interest of the child will be of paramount importance. That the child, if below the age of 7, shall be awarded to the custody of the mother as a general rule, except if there is a compelling reason to separate the child from the mother. And more often than not, the compelling reason is the sexual infidelity of the mother as against the father. And what is the reason for that? Well, if the mother is committing adultery, then the environment is immoral, sabi ng Supreme Court. How can there be a moral development of a child under an immoral environment? So because of that, the child can be separated from the mother. Then the custody will be awarded to the father if the father is fit. If the father is unfit, then the best interest of the child will be of utmost importance that the court can appoint a guardian. But remember, the custody cases involving the grandparents. The grandparents as against strangers. Yung kaso ng Bagtas versus Santos. In the case of Bagtas versus Santos, there was that woman who had a child. But A and B have married, they have a child C. That child C has a child below the age of 7, but went abroad and left the child to the custody of X and Y who are not even related to them. Then the grandparents learned about the departure of their daughter, and they learned about the custody of the child below the age of 7, nandun sa strangers. X and Y. Who are X and Y? They're not even related, but they are friends of the mother. So sabi ng grandparents, amin na yung anak ng anak ko. Sabi nila, anak namin. And you better deliver the custody of the child. Because in the hierarchy of people that the right of custody, we are second. X and Y said no. Because this is our cargo. Cargo, di konsensya namin, pag may mangyari, kasalanan namin yan. No. If you were the counsel for the parents of for A and B, what would be your remedy? You file a petition for habeas corpus. Because there is restraint of liberty in the part of the child. Now, in the case of Bagtas versus Santos, the body of the child was produced. When the order of production was served upon X and Y, they produced the body of the child. And because of the production of the body of the child to the court, then the court dismissed the case for habeas corpus. Is the dismissal correct? The Supreme Court said, no, do not stop there. Do not stop in the production of the body of the child. Here, the petition for habeas corpus, set it for hearing. You have to determine whether it is better or it would serve the very purpose of the law if the child will remain with X and Y, or if the child will be transferred to the custody of A and B. Determine. Because the paramount consideration is always the welfare of the child. Because evidence might be presented showing that it is better that the child would stay with X and Y. Because that is the very purpose. Or evidence might be presented to prove that it is better that the child will stay with the grandparents. So, do not dismiss the petition for habeas corpus right away upon the production of the body of the child. The Supreme Court said. Here then, let them present evidence that it is better that we have the custody of our child, sabi of the child of our daughter, sabi ng parents. It is better that we have the custody of the child of this lady. Then decide. Discretion ng court yan. But what will be the important consideration welfare of the child, the best interest of the child. The best interest of the child. Well, of course, if there's a question of the custody of the child, but the child is already 7 and above, that can be an open question. To the extent that the child can even make a choice. No, I would like to share a story about this custody problem that happened in Mansala when I was still a judge. There was a controversy between a man and a woman. There was a boy and there was a girl. But these two children were in the custody of the woman. Pero gusto ng lalaki, akin yung mga bata. Sabi ng babae, akin itong dalawang bata. But how old were the two children? The girl was 12 and the boy was 14. So is the custody question open? Yes, that is an open question. That's an open question. Wala yung built-in advantage on the part of the woman that the child shall be awarded to the custody of the mother because there is no man who can respond to the sorrows of a woman, etc. Hindi applicable yan. Because if the child was below the age of 7, applicable. But if the child is 7 and above, that principle is not applicable. That is an open question. That is a controversial issue. But can the children or the child make a choice? Yes. And the court and the parties will have to respect the choice of the child or the children unless the choice is unfit. Unless the choice is unfit. So, if the choice is unfit, hindi award yun. So, I said, what is your contention, sir? I would like to have my children, Your Honor. Your children, plural? Yes, Your Honor. Sabi ng lalaki, I would like to have the custody of my two children, Your Honor. Two or nothing. About you, madam. Two or nothing, Your Honor. Problema, two or nothing. Dadalawa naman yung anak ninyo. Pero, sabi ko sa kanya, why don't you live together as husband and wife? Baka sakali makachamba kayo ng tambal. Wala na problema yun. Two or nothing. Two for you and two for you. Sabi ko gano'n. Sabi ng babae, no way, Your Honor. With more reason, Your Honor, no way. You cannot have two or nothing. Maybe you can have one for you and one for you. Sabi ko gano'n. Binibiro ko sila eh. Because that is how you are going to handle the family law cases. Alam mo yung pag-family law cases, I would rather handle a murder case or a rape case than handle a family law case. Mahirap yan. Mahirap yan. Even the judges have a lot of problems handling these family law cases. Mahirap yan. Yes, mahirap. Hindi basta-basta umawak ng family law case. Controversy between the husband and wife. So sabi ko, is it not that the children are already 7 and above? Yes, Your Honor. Sabi ng mga abogado. Is it not that under the law, they can even make their choices? Yes, Your Honor. Now, will you respect the choices of your two children, Mr. and Mrs., if you make them choose between the two of you? Yes, Your Honor. Make that of record. Sabi ko, I will initiate. Sabi ko, Ligaya. Ilan taong ka na yan? 12 po. You know what's happening to your mommy and daddy? Opo. Then you heard that if you make a choice between your mommy and your daddy, then your mommy and daddy will respect your choice. Opo. Kasi nandun yung dalawang bata eh. Okay. You make a choice between your mommy and daddy. Who is your choice? Babae. Make a guess. Sino ang pinili ng babae? Sabi niya kay daddy po. Okay. O, halika boy. Halika boy. The same question. Sino ang gusto mo? Mommy or daddy? Boy. Mommy po. Alright. Your children made the choices. So, one for you and one for you. I provided for visitation rights. During Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, you can visit with the consent of your spouse. You can have a date with your child. Pero sabi ko, orally, sister naman. Pagka-date mo yung bata, isama mo na si Mrs. If you visit your child, isama mo na rin si Mrs. Mamalay mo, one of these days, you might come back and will be telling us that you have already reconciled. Ano bang paboritong gift mo nung naliligaw ka pa kay Mrs.? Yung mga imported chocolates po, bumili ka, tuwing pupunta ka doon. Anong favorito niyang bulaklak? Yung mga red roses po na malalaki. Bumili ka rin pag pupunta ka doon. Yan. Malay mo. Malay mo. That's how you're going to handle those kinds of cases. Huwag kayong hardliner. Yung hardliner, yung bahala kayo sa buhay niyo, ayaw niyo. Hindi pwede yung gano'n. Dapat soft yan. Very soft yung hen. Unfamily law cases. So I provided for visitation rights. Because you have to remember that eventually they might go back to court and might tell the court, Your Honor, please, we've already reconciled. So we are now living together again. Can you sing the lyrics of the song, Together Again? Together Again. Di ba? Together Again. So, kumanta mo na sila, Together Again. Like one judge ng araw. Alam niyo, may singing judge ng araw sa Quezon City. Yes, may singing judge. Meron humingi ng oral motion for postponement. Sabi niya, Your Honor, please. But last time, he said, for the last time. And now he's asking for postponement again for the last time, Your Honor. I cannot agree, Your Honor. Sabi nung judge, I will not mention the name, very popular ang pangalan. Very popular yung mga anak eh. Oh, why don't you give a chance to the other counsel? And he's asking for the last time, objection, Your Honor. Tapos, kumanta siya. One more chance. Meron pang background. One more chance. Sabi namin, luko itong judge nito. Entertainment. Pero the problem is, what about if the child is illegitimate? Kanino? Custody, mother. There are rules, you cannot. That's why the case of Daisy David versus the Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court said, even if you recognize the child, you do not have as a rule the right to have custody over the child. Bakit? Di mother, kasi illegitimate eh. Immaterial yung recognition mo. But if you recognize the child, then you have to support the child. In the case of Silva versus the Court of Appeals, learning that lesson from the case of Daisy David versus Court of Appeals, do you remember Mr. Silva, a rich businessman? Do you remember that girl, a local actress, lived with that businessman? 2 children were born. But probably the relationship was not very good. It's like the relationship between that actress and that congressman, di ba? Congressman. Buti nga, hindi pinailan ng violence against 92-62. Mabuti nga kung pinailan yun, delikado siya. But then the problem is, the man was not asking for custody because the children were illegitimate. Because learning that lesson from Daisy David, yung babae ang may custody. But then the man, in the case of Silva versus the Court of Appeals, was merely asking for visitation rights. Visitation rights lang naman. So you can provide for visitation rights that during Saturdays and Sundays, you can visit the child, you can go out with the child during birthdays, etc. Then you can go out with your child. So, the custody question. Because one of the latest here is the case of Beckett versus Judge Sarmiento. Pero ganun pa rin. Best interest of the child is of utmost importance in matters of questions and custody. So, parental authority is exercised by the parents, etc. That if ever there is an act or that omission that causes damage to another, and that is an act of the child under the supervision, instruction, and custody of the parents, then the parents are liable for damages. Then the parents are liable for damages under the principle of vicarious liability under the provisions of the law in the civil code. doon sa Article 2180 of this Civil Code. Now, problem is, if the child of yours is already in school, for example, the minor went to school or is now in school, then what time is the class? 7 o'clock. So by 6:30, the child should have been dropped at the campus of the school, who will now exercise special parental authority. That for as long as the child is under the supervision, instruction, and custody of the school administrators, teachers, institutions engaged in childcare, then whatever is the act that may cause damage to another child or another person will be chargeable against the school. Pero shifting of responsibility dito. If the child was there or is there at the campus enjoying the ambience of the school because he is returning to the school for the first time after the summer vacation. Iba na yung ating school but cause damage to another child. Then, whose responsibility is that? School or its administrators. But the moment the child comes into this room, assuming that this were the classroom, then the child causes damage to another child. Who is responsible for that? That is chargeable against the teacher. Because the teacher now has supervision, instruction, and custody of the said child. That even during PE, during recess, etc. But the moment that child goes back home, then there is shifting of responsibility from the school administrators, teachers, and institutions engaged in childcare from that of these people to that of the parents all over again. Yun. So, when this minor child is in school, and then the child is going to perform an act causing damage to another person, then what is the rule? The rule is that the school administrators, teachers, and institutions engaged in childcare, and that is irrespective of the nature of the school. Gone are the days when we had the Palisok versus Brillantes case. Wala na yung Palisok versus Brillantes case because that has been substituted by the case of Amadora versus the Court of Appeals. What was the Palisok case? Kasi in order that the teacher may be liable for damages for the act or omission of that minor student, even under his supervision, instruction, and custody, the teacher, pursuant to Palisok versus Brillantes, must be a school of arts and trades teacher. Pero wala na yun. Because of Amadora versus the Court of Appeals. What happened in Amadora, I'm sorry to say that it happened at San Jose Recoletos in Cebu. San Jose Recoletos in Cebu. Remember that San Jose Recoletos case, Amadora? 2 minor children about to graduate from high school. Pero ito yata yung mga spoiled brats Because I was lecturing to a fellow in Cebu, that was 2 years ago. When I reached that part, sabi na, sir, kilala ko mo ito. Because I had a one-on-one lecture in civil, remedial, and political. One-on-one, One-on-one. Now, when I reached that part, sabi na, stop, sir. Okay, kilala ko mo ito. Kilala ko mga kaibigan ko These are people, mga spoiled people Nagtapos na dahil lang doon sa loob. Sabi dito, ayaw mo yung pagbubukan ng walang yan. Bakit? Mas gwapo sa akin. Ayaw ko yung mas gwapo sa akin Sabi niya sa kanya, kaya mo ba ang ganunin yan? Bukas. Ganun lang daw Bukas, tapos sa nadaan, gala ng baril, bang, patay. Wala nang mas pogi kaysa sa'yo. Ganun lang yun. Kasi na-kurso na daan lang, katuwaan lang yun. But don't you know that the school, the dean of the students, the security department, the teachers were sold. But when that case reached the Supreme Court said, after a scrutiny of the evidence that was presented during the trial, we found out that all these people were sold were able to prove the defense of the diligence of the good father of the family. Thus, no one is responsible. Kasi yan ang defense That's the defense of the school administrators, teachers, institutions engaged in childcare, or even the employer, or even the parents. If they can prove, no liability. Under part. If they cannot prove, joint tortfeasors, 2194, they are joint tortfeasors. Problem. Pero sabi nila, no one is responsible because of the evidence presented that they were able to prove the diligence of a good father of the family in order to prevent the incident. Pero teka muna, paano masasabi that they were able to prove the defense? Minor, fourth year, about to graduate, nagdala ng 45 caliber inside the school. Paano masasabi nga? Pero that is still of the case. Pag mo nang intindihin yun. But sabi nila, but this is not the time for us to look into previous decisions of the Supreme Court. Then, by virtue of the Amadora principle, they abandoned the case of Palisok versus Brillantes. Because in the case of Palisok, there was the decision was like this: for the teacher to be liable for the actual omissions of the minor child or minor student, this teacher must be a school of arts and trades. Sabi ni J.B. Reyes, in a dissenting opinion, no, I disagree with you. My contention is that, regardless of the nature of the school, if the teacher cannot prove the defense of the diligence of a good father of a family, liable. That was the dissenting opinion of J.B.L. Reyes in Palisok versus Brillantes in the 1960s. But in the later part of 1989, bumalik sila doon, let us review Palisok. Ay, sabi nila, tama pala si JBL. Tama pala si JBL. Kasi sabi JBL, regardless of the nature of the school, if the teacher cannot prove the defense of the due diligence of the good father of the family to prevent the accident, the teacher is liable for damages. So they adopted the dissenting opinion of J.B.L. Reyes in Palisok versus Brillantes to become the majority rule in the case of Amadora versus the Court of Appeals. Look at the provisions of Article 218 of the Family Code now. It does not even distinguish the nature of the teacher, the nature of the school. So if the law does not distinguish, we should not distinguish. What is the nature of the liability? They cannot prove the defense of the diligence of a good father of a family. Sa 218, then primary. They are solidarily liable, primary liability. But in case they are insolvent, then the parents are subsidiarily liable. The parents are subsidiarily liable. Parents subsidiarily liable for the acts or omissions of the student under the supervision, instruction, and custody of the school administrators, teachers, and institutions engaged in child care in case of their insolvency. Pero the moment the parents recover the custody of the child, then they are primarily liable. Remember the cases. Again, there was a case that happened in Cebu. That is the case of Libby versus the Court of Appeals. Ano ba yung Libby? Libby versus the Court of Appeals. Here is a girl, a student of a university in Cebu. Then there was that boy. Boy yan kasi minors eh. Because both of them were minors. They were going steady. But suddenly, the girl said, I do not like you anymore. Okay. Tayo muna sa akin. Because you are, etc. Kulit mo, etc. Then the boy was offering hands of reconciliation. Sabi ng girl, no. Tomorrow, Sunday, I will visit you. If you will not reconcile with me by 4 o'clock, I will kill you. Kala nung babae, nagbibiro. Then before going to the house of that girl, there was an open cabinet, and the gun of the father was there. Dinala yung baril. Sabi niya, reconciliation or not? Sabi nung babae, no. May baril ako, I'll give you last 3 minutes. 2 minutes na lang, lamang ng ilan? Limang ng ilan. Limang ng ilan, di na kayang habulin. Pero kung tatlo lamang ang lamang, pwede pa. Isang rainbow lang, tapos na. Oh, seconds na lang. 3 seconds more. 3 seconds more. How do you count 3 seconds if you were a basketball player? At in 3 seconds ka, kung tumigil ka doon sa seated lane, within 3 seconds. How does the referee count the 3 seconds? Pag gumagano yung referee, that is 1001, 1002, 1003. Yeah. That is 3 seconds. Ayaw. Extension, 5 seconds. Etc. 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 You do not want, kinuha yung baril, bang, patay. Then, bang, patay. Both of them die. Both of them die. There was a complaint for damages filed by the heirs of the girl against the parents of the boy, where the Supreme Court in Libby versus the Court of Appeals held them liable for damages because of their negligent acts. Bakit? Evidence showed that the boy, a minor, was even an informer of the NARCOM. But that was unknown to the parents. Pero mo, informer yung minor ng NARCOM. Is that not negligence in taking care of your child? In the custody and supervision of your child? But the most important thing was the open cabinet where the gun was taken. Kinuha niya yung baril. That was the negligent act. Supreme Court said, you are considered as joint tortfeasors with that of your child. And what is the nature of the liability of joint tortfeasors? Solidary pursuant to 2194 of this civil code. But remember, there are other cases, Tamargo versus the Court of Appeals, liability of the parents. But the child was the subject of an adoption proceeding in Ilocos Sur. Here is a man and woman married, they have a child C, minor, 10 years old. Ex and wife filed a petition to adopt the child. It has already been submitted for decision. But after the case was submitted for resolution, that 10-year-old child was playing with a neighbor. There was a playmate. They were playing with the air gun of the father. But they did not know that the air gun was loaded. Then the air gun was pointed to the playmate, he squeezed the trigger, killed the playmate. Then after that, the petition for adoption was granted. So that the heirs of the decedent filed a complaint against A and B alternative dependents, alternative or cumulative dependents or parties, X and Y. Para kung hindi man liable si A and B, si X and Y. Kung hindi man liable si X and Y, A and B. They were sued cumulatively or alternatively pursuant to the provisions of the Rules of Court. Sa Rule 3 of the Rules of Court. Problem. What was the defense of the adopting parents? Sabi ng adopting parents, Your Honor, we cannot be liable. Bakit? Because the child has not yet been adopted at that time. And number 2, assuming without admitting na adopted na. But we were in the United States at the time of the accident, and the child was under the supervision, instruction, and custody of the natural parents. So the natural parents should be made liable. Contention on the part of the natural parents. Your Honor, please, under the provisions of Article 38 of the Child and Youth Welfare Code, the effects of adoption are retroactive to the date of the filing of the petition for adoption. So that the petition for adoption, for example, was filed on January 2. It was granted on June 10. The effects are retroactive to January 2. Therefore, the child was no longer our child. The child was already the child of the adopting parents. Therefore, they should be liable for damages. If you were the judge, how would you decide? Good question to ask. Good question to ask. If you were the judge, how would you decide? Whose contention is correct? The contention of the adopting parents is correct. That since the child was still under the supervision, instruction, and custody then the natural parents should be made liable for damages. Unless they can prove the defense of the diligence of the good father of the family, but in this case, there was none. And furthermore, it is true that under the provisions of the Child and Youth Welfare Code, the effects of adoption are retroactive in nature. Hence, it is as if the child was already the child of the adopting parents at the time of the filing of the petition for adoption, although it was granted later. But that retroactive effect of the effects of adoption, di ba, is applicable only if there are benefits that would accrue in favor of the child. It is not applicable if there are liabilities that are incurred by the child. In this case, there was no benefit, but in this case, there was liability because of the act of the child of killing the playmate. Therefore, the natural parents are liable for damages. Tamargo versus the Court of Appeals. Tamargo versus the Court of Appeals. So, liabilities. Oh, remember that. What is the age of majority? From 21 to 18. What would be the effect of attaining the age of majority? Emancipation. Remember, there is only one way of emancipating a child now. Reaching the age of majority. Reaching the age of majority is the only way by which a child may be emancipated. Dati-dati kasi, when the age of majority was 21, a child at the age of 18 can get married. Therefore, marriage was a means of emancipation of a child. But since it has been reduced to the 18, below 18 you cannot get married. Therefore, there is only one way of emancipating a child. That is reaching the age of majority. And what would be the effect or effects? Well, emancipation, ano effect? Can the child be now liable and qualified for all acts of civil life? Yes. Can the child now sell properties, borrow money without the consent of the parents? Yes. So he is now qualified and liable for all acts of civil life. But please remember that if the child is 18 but below the age of 21, living in the company of the parents, and the child performs an act that would cause damage to another person, then the parents are still liable for damages. Remember the amendatory provisions of the law. That under the provisions of this law, nakalagay doon, that the age of majority is hereby reduced from 21 to 18. And what are the effects? Sabi natin, then nakalagay doon, dugtong eh. As an exception to the rule, that the child, once emancipated, is now liable and qualified for all acts of civil life. May exception dito. Yun sinabi ko, 18 but below 21, living in the company of the parents, performed an act, or there was an omission causing damage to another person, the parents are liable for damages. You have to remember that if an accident would happen. For example, the child is 19, the child is 20, below the age of 21. The child was asked by the father to drive their car. Let's go to court. You drive the car for me. In the process, the child, while driving the car, met an accident, killed a pedestrian, or injured a pedestrian, or destroyed the property. Can the parents be made liable for damages? Yes. Because the law tells us that nothing in this code, meaning the mandatory provisions, nothing in this code shall be construed to derogate from the responsibility of the parents for the acts or omissions of their child below the age of 21, but 18 and above, but below the age of 21, living in their company. So, this law is applicable to the PAPs. The child below the age of 21, but 18 and above. He performed an act causing damage to another, but the child was living in the company of the parents. The parents are still liable as an exception to the rule. As an exception to the rule. So, the situation in the family law, it's a majority. Now, what is the rule in the family code? Retroactive in nature. Ay mo, dali na lang yun, 256. Pero ingatan ninyo, yun sa custody, because this is a possible area. Because that is connected to the provisions of Article 2180 of the Civil Code in relation to the provisions of Article 2194 of the Civil Code. 218, 219, 221, yan. Then 2180 in relation to Article 2194 of the Civil Code. So we've been talking about the rules in adoption who can adopt in the Philippines. Alam na natin yon. We've taken that up when we were talking about the rules on adoption in special proceedings. Husband and wife, they must or they shall jointly adopt. Exceptions. What are the exceptions to that rule? Then foreigners can adopt in the Philippines. They can even jointly adopt with the Filipino spouse. Foreigners, if you are single and you are a former citizen of the Philippines, but foreigners must have to reside in the Philippines at least 3 years before the filing and up to the time of the decree of adoptions recording. Joint adoption of the husband and wife. Latest, I cannot find a later case. But the latest is the case of the adoption of Michael and Miss Lynn. The Supreme Court said that the woman alone cannot adopt. The husband and wife shall jointly adopt. That even if the husband has already filed a petition for divorce against the woman for as long as it has not yet been granted, they are still married. Because if you were a foreigner, you have to prove other requirements or other requirements. Ano yung other requirements? Aside from the qualifications of a Filipino, there are 4 other requirements added by Republic Act number 8552. Ngayon, diplomatic relationship between the two countries. Then, are you eligible to adopt in your own country? Does your law, does the law of your country allow the entry of the adopted child into your country and the 3-year residence requirement? Yeah. Effects of adoption, more specifically, the right of inheritance. The child adopted shall inherit like a legitimate child without any distinction or discrimination. But the adopted child cannot inherit by right of representation. Because there is no relationship between the relatives of the adopter and that of the adopted. The relationship is limited to the two of them. And what is again the middle name of the adopted child? The middle name of the adopted child is the surname of the biological mother. Remember the case of the adoption of that girl by the father, where the question arose, what is the middle name of the child, Your Honor? The case of Nati Astorga Garcia. The Supreme Court said the middle name is the surname of the biological mother. There is no law on middle name, but there is no also law that prohibits you from carrying a middle name. That's why if something is not prohibited, but it is allowed, then you can use the middle name. What is the surname of the legitimate mother? Di ba, mother? Except if the father recognized the child, Revilla law. Revilla law. What is the surname that is carried by the child if the child has been recognized? So, the child shall carry the surname of the father. the child must carry the surname of the father. The child can carry the surname of the father, and the child may carry the surname of the father. Which is the correct word used by the Rebila law? It is not shall, it is not must, it is not can, but it is may. The law uses the word may. Discretion ng bata. Discretion ng bata. If the child has been recognized. Do you remember the case of Coseteng? Yung Coseteng? Kaya that fellow Coseteng was born, pero nakalagay sa record of birth niya, yung middle name is Coseteng. Yung pala, hindi nag-asawa yung mother at saka yung father. So sabi niya, alisin niyo yung middle name. Diba? Na Coseteng, because that is my surname. Diba? Even if the father recognizes the child, then the word is, the child may carry the surname of the father. Can you change your name? How many times can you change your name? By just going to the local civil registrar? Only once, ano? Suppose there is the child was born, pero merong discrepancy sa record of birth and the sex. Nakalagay doon, lagay natin, Jessica Sanchez. Ang nakalagay na sex is male. Can you just go to the local civil registrar and have it corrected without going to court? Apparently, that is a substantial correction. But remember, the amendatory provisions of the law. Meron ng amendatory provision sa Republic Act number 1948, 10172. 10172. Republic Act number 10172. That if there is a mistake which is apparent and patent, like for example, date of birth. Anong date of birth na nakalagay doon? The child was born, for example, on June 12, 2013. Ang problema, June 12, 2113. Naku lang yan. 2113. He is yet to be born. How many years from now? Can it be corrected summarily by way of the local civil registrar's office? Yes. Kasi apparent and patent yung mistake. Kung yung sex is apparent and apparent ang mistake in the entry, that can be corrected by the local civil registrar. But it does not allow correction as far as your status, as far as your nationality, mga ganon, because there must be the correction must tend to be done by way of an adversarial proceeding. Everything has been taken up already. Just a review of what we've been talking about. Who can file an action or petition for the rescission of the decree of adoption? Well, under the present law, only the adopted and not the adopter. But the adopter and the adopted used to have the same right under the original version of the Family Code until it was amended by Republic Act number 8552, giving unto the child the exclusive right to file an action or a petition for the rescission of the decree of adoption as provided for by the law. We have taken all them up together before. A review of what we've been talking about. Absence. 10 years, disappeared, without no news about the person. What is the rule? Do you need to go to court and file a petition for declaration of presumptive death? No more, because the law itself presumes that the person is dead. And it even opens the succession of the person. If there is an absence for a period of 7 years, then it is intended for other purposes, not for succession. Not for purposes of succession. If the person who disappeared was already 75 years old, and he has disappeared for 5 years without the members of the family knowing the whereabouts of that person, What is the rule? 75. Why is it that that person is presumed dead? Because a person was already 75 at that time and disappeared for a period of 5 years. It could not be possible for that person to survive by himself or to live by himself without the aid of the relatives. Ganun lang. The 4-year period in Article 4391 of the Civil Code. Ano ba yun? 391 of the Civil Code? Your husband went to war, you have not heard of that spouse for the last 2 years. Boarded the plane, it crashed. You have not heard of that spouse for the last 2 years. Boarded the vessel, it capsized, etc. Or he might have disappeared under other circumstances. He was exposed to danger of death under other circumstances. Remember that 41 of the Family Code has reduced it to only 2 years for purposes of remarriage. You can go to court and file a petition for declaration of presumptive death for purposes of remarriage. You have to allege that. And what is the nature of the decision again? Once it is granted, immediately executory. And since it is immediately executory, then it is not appealable. And how do you question the decision? By way of a special civil action for certiorari and allege and prove grave abuse of discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction. Eh, di ba, di ka kumita kanina ng 50 million because of your advice? Ayan, di ba? That's the drama behind that provision of the law. Try to think of the new cases. Hindi, wala. One of the cases decided by your chairman pertains to a case of psychological incapacity. Pare-pareho naman yan. The other one is the case of Beckett versus Judge Sarmiento. Yan naman, pare-pareho lang naman yun. Pare-pareho lang naman yun. So that is family law and related matters. Diba? So the next time around that we will be seeing each other will be in the pre-week. It will be a different subject matter. Will be a different subject matter. Okay. See you again in the future. See you in court, not as accused, but as counsel. Of course, not as accused in a criminal case before the Sandigan Bayan. Because of graft and corruption. Huwag naman. Anyway, good luck